Hi everyone, welcome to today's 12 Days of Christmas project. Today we are making a stocking, a little bit larger than you're used to seeing probably, but this stocking is great. You can fill it up with, I actually take and put each of my children have one, and I put all their smaller presents in it. So you can fill it up with those smaller items, or actually you can get a pretty big item in this. But if your kids are like mine, even though they're grown, I still make a stocking for them every year, and that they will tell you that is the most fun part about Christmas morning. They like to get in their stockings. So join us as we make this super cute little double-sided stocking with the little gnomes, or I like to think of it as a stocking gift bag. You can see we have a panel, and it is quite large. It does make a huge stocking, and I made them for my children last year, and yes, I did fill it up, but I put all of their presents that would fit in. They were wrapped up, and then I put them all in the stocking and had their name on it, and that way it wasn't fighting to pull the presents out and see what belonged to who, and so it was a great way. So if you've got to take presents somewhere or something, this is a neat little inexpensive huge gift bag, and it'll last for many years to come. We have the panels, and the panels are $12.99. So you can do this as a pre-cut panel, or if you would rather use your own fabric that matches your decor, or if you have some lovely Christmas border print and you don't know what to do with it, look at this. This would be beautiful made up into one of these stockings. So the possibilities are limitless. So today we're going to talk about just how easy this one can be. As you can see, it's got a dotted line around here. So this one is so simple. I even use my rotary cutter to cut it out. Your seam line is going to be at the actual print. So what I do, first of all, I'm going to take my loops off. And we will work on those. Well, I said I was going to take it off. I think I need a new blade. And we'll make that little loop. And then for cutting out, I just kind of roughly guess at my 1/4 inch, and I go right along. So for those of you that think, oh, I don't know how to sew, I can't do that, I haven't mastered a 1/4 inch seam, we're not going to be that particular. This is a fun project. And there's one side of your stocking. How easy was that? I'll repeat with this side. And there's the second piece. Quick and easy. For our loops, we're going to be a little more precise because we do want it to be neat and straight. So I make sure I use my 1/4 of an inch mark and I put it right along the edge of the loop and trim. You do this on all 4 sides. Now, for some of you that sew and are not quilters and you're used to a 5/8 inch seam, you could very easily do that as well. It's not a science. If I wanted a 5/8, I would just use that mark and I would have a bigger. I can show it to you because I can still trim down. But a lot of our people, garment sewers, they like that extra room. That is perfectly fine. So there's one. Quick as can be. And I like doing these. They're fun. They were quite the hit at my house last year. Unexpected. My children are grown, but, you know, I'm a mom. And I like crafts, so you still have to make something special for them. Plus, I'll have to bring it back to the store. I did a beautiful quilt that matched this fabric. So, there you have your tabs. We're ready to sew this together. It'll only take a few minutes. All right, the first thing we sew together is our tab. We've got it cut out. You can just stitch this together. You can see through the fabric, or if you're more comfortable pinning or clipping, you can put a few in there. But I'm going to stitch right along the line for my tab. I'm just using a straight stitch. Give me just a minute. Get all lined up here. And we're ready to sew. Now I'm just using we call it the J foot, or the general foot. It's just your standard foot that comes on most all machines. And I'm sewing on the beautiful new ballad. I sewed one too far, so I'm going to go back one. And I think I need to straighten it a little bit. Here we go. And I am going to back stitch. And we'll cut it. Stitch together. Now I'm going to trim my corners just to take the bulk out. Fabric is really fine, but I just don't want it to be really thick and bulky. And we turn it right side out. Oops, now see, I didn't make it quite covered up. but it'll be on the underneath side. I think it's going to be fine. So really you could actually start your stitch right inside the darker blue. Might be a better idea. I've got a little bit of blue showing. Now some people are going to say that's not enough to matter. If I wanted to put it underneath, it will be lost in the pressing. But being who I am, that's going to bug me. So we're just going to turn it right back the way we started. And fix that. Especially since this is a nice wide one. It's not difficult to turn. Sometimes when you're making straps and things, they're very skinny. It's hard to turn them. But this one's not. It's very quick. So let's, hey, be a double seam, be reinforced. We're going to stitch right inside that previous stitch line. And there we go. Okay, I've turned my tab for the most part and went over and grabbed our quick turn, throwing the tubes around. And this is a great tool. It comes in 3 different sizes. You know, I said something about turning handles. When you've got those narrow handles, you want something similar to this that you could put in there. You would put the purple down in the tube, and then I call them my chopsticks or knitting needles, dowels, whatever. And you would push it through the tube if it was skinny, and it just cleans your point up. Makes it look better, nice and neat. Just be careful that you don't get a little carried away and push too hard, because it will go right through. And if you're working with flannel, just give you a hint there, it will poke through flannel a lot quicker. Ask me how I know that. So, now we have the tube. All it needs is a little press. Won't take but a second. And remember, we press, we don't iron. And then we'll sew the stocking together. We've made our tab, and now we're ready to put the stocking together. Now, remember, I'm not lining this. I'm just using it kind of as a gift bag. But if you wanted to, you could put batting in it and a layer of lining to give it a lot of body. I know some of you have those big gorgeous fireplaces that it could hang down from. Me, I think the puppy would get it and I'd be in trouble. So we'll just use it as the bag. So what I'm doing now, I'm just kind of pin matching, because this is, remember, it's stamped on the fabric, everything is, and it should all be the same. So let's pin match where we have an identifiable mark. And we'll come down here.
What would you do if you didn't have an identifiable mark? Could you measure?
You could measure.
The top?
You would measure, and if you didn't have anything, like if it's an all over print, it wouldn't matter. You could just put it together. But like our nice border prints, things like that, they give you an identifiable mark, which makes it easier, I think. But not completely necessary, because you're not going to be seeing the front and back at the same time. But I do like this one because she did put the same design on the front and the back. But we had one grandmother who came in and wanted to do these, but she had a lot of grandchildren. I can't remember how many, but she said it would take the whole bolt. So what she did, she bought one panel to make for 2 children. She just used a panel and a solid back. So you can do that. The possibilities are endless with this. So just have fun with it. It's the important part. It's Christmas. Even our sewing should be fun. Just a little finger press there. And I'll do the same thing over here. Just kind of find a little spot. And I'm going to insert my tab. Now, I sewed 3 sides together. I just like it that way and automatically do it. Honestly, I really didn't have to, but you know, it keeps a nice edge. What I do, I fold it in half, and we're going to place it. I'm going to go right above the first stripe, and I'm going to place it right in there. You want your fold to be inside, and then I'm going to pin that down so it will have a nice hanger to hang it by. More thing before we stitch, we want to turn this under. Let me get my ruler. I turn it down about 1/2 of an inch, and then I just kind of finger press. And then I turn that down and cover up that 1/4 inch of allowance that I had. And this just gives it a finished edge on the top. Again, not really that necessary. You could put binding on it if you like. There's lots of ways you could finish it off. Just like to turn it under. Those that know me know I'm more of a clip person, so this would be where I think it would be much easier if you just used your clover clips. But since I didn't bring them, pins are always a good second choice. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now we're ready to go to the machine and stitch. I've pin matched some of the points that I could match up, and I have turned down the top. Like I said, you could leave this, but I like a little bit more of a finished edge. So what I did, I turned each side down, and now I'm just going to do a little top stitch right along the top. I'll do that on both sides, and then we'll stitch around our stocking. So back to the machine, and I have probably more pins than I normally would use. Okay. And I am using the inside of my foot. Remember, this is our J foot. And I'm just going to use the plastic, where the plastic meets the metal. That's just going to be my standard. That doesn't have to be precise. If you want to stitch farther down, right on the edge. If you have a serger, you could even do the wave stitch on the edge of this. That would really give it some personality. So we're just going to stitch along. I don't like to stitch over pins. I know we can, but it's not that big a deal to stop. And I'm using a lighter thread so you can see this, but you know, sometimes we top stitch with different colors, so that makes it kind of nice. All right, now let's do the other side. Remember, we have our tab in there, so just if you need to fold it down, whatever. Again, a clip would be fine there, but I'm going to pin it just so it stays out of my way. Don't want to catch it up yet. That's for the side seam. Here we go. Almost finished. And now, take the pin out of our tab. Let the tab go back up there where it's supposed to be. And I'm going to straighten it a little. But some people actually like to hang it more at an angle. You could angle that down as well. You just be sure you catch it in the side seam. So now, here we go. We're going to sew all the way around. And I just do a little extra reinforcement there in case you put something a little heavier. Okay. I think it looks good. Now, what I like to do, like when we used to put sleeves in garments, anytime I'm sewing around a curve, I like to snip it just to give a little bit of actually give in there. It will just make the fabric move a little better. And that's on the inside of the curve. Are you ready? And here we have a little gnome and all his forest friends helping Santa. Now, we'll trim these so they don't look so ragged. But again, you may want to go around the edges and just serge them. How about that? A little pressing and have it smoothed out, and you have a Santa sack. Merry Christmas, everyone.